Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this panel discussion around the role of cloud within retail. Today I'm joined by the founder and CEO of retail store Ian Tomlinson, who was a pioneer of cloud for retail in the UK more than 15 years ago. On my far left, he's joined by the Director of IT at National High Street retail jeweller f.hinds, Mr. Paul Hinds, and with him the Head of IT at organic skin and body care brand Neal's Yard's Remedies, Jason Cook, both of whom use a cloud platform. So on the opening day of the industry's main exhibition, we want to open the discussion about how new software is enabling the true omni-channel retailing experience and supporting that new customer journey. As Tim said, it's about rethinking retail for extended choice, convenience and experience. And we know that with separated legacy systems are really a thing of the past and that the industry is changing at a rapid rate. So we've pulled together the panel, which involves businesses who have both used these archaic systems and also created their own place in the market with the benefit of with the benefit of cloud technology. It's key that we demonstrate how and why there is a need to redesign or introduce operations and systems around consumers, working to provide them with new flows of real-time information, products, transactions and experience. And from the panel, we hope you hear that today. There'll be discussion around the importance of the in-store experience, and we've at Retail Store pulled together the Reinventing Retail Guide, which was published earlier this spring, and from that report and its insight, it points to the question, is cloud the only way to survive? So starting from the very beginning, Jason, you inherited the Cybertill system when you arrived at Neal's Yard's Remedies. If you're going to do it again, what would you ask?
Thank you, Laura. So, yeah, as Laura mentioned, I've been with Neal's Yard now for 10 years, and at that point, I'd already came into the business, and we were using what was called a hosted solution then. Obviously, some marketing people got hold of hosted and called it cloud, but by and large, it's exactly the same now as it is then. You know, it's a hosted solution, and at that point, we were only hosted for our EPOS system. Then over the years we developed our hosted solutions, so we then rapidly moved our e-commerce platform and that's become hosted, and then over the last 12 months we've now hosted our gifts, card and loyalty program. So our main three routes to market to our customers are now all on hosted platforms. So some of the advantages that we found of using a hosted solution rather than having an inherent in-house solution have been around security of data, total cost of ownership, interoperability of those systems together, being able to have a single view of our customer, so we're able to give our customers more of a multi-channel experience. We'll come back and look at each of those individually then. So we took the choice to, rather than going for single vendors, to go and get a hosted solution of what we would call the best of breed solutions in each of the various different markets we're looking at. So on our e-commerce platform we use Demandware, which is a tier 1 leading e-commerce provider, and then we've gone with Cybertill on our EPOS solution, and we use a company called GiveX for our loyalty and gift card. And one of my concerns initially was how we're going to bring these three disparate systems together and make sure that we could integrate those so that customer information could flow easily and seamlessly between those three hosted solutions. Ultimately, it comes down to the effectiveness of those solutions and how good they are at integrating with other systems. But you're going to need a really good piece of middleware that's going to allow you to exchange information between those systems easily. Either you're going to develop the systems to link to each other, or they're going to come through, a piece of middleware to allow you to link all the data together. We've done a blend of both. We take information from our Cybertill system for click and reserve and integrate that back into our Demandware platform so customers can see up-to-date stock levels. We do dynamic integration between those platforms into our gift card and loyalty program so that we can see real-time information on customers' loyalty transactions. So if a customer comes in and uses a loyalty card in-store and then they go a couple of seconds later onto our web platform, they can see those loyalty transactions in the web platform where they log into their account section. So different ways of bringing the data together. We also have found that having all of that data in a single place on the web or in a hosted solution means that we're not constantly trying to synchronize chunks of data around the business. If you can imagine, you have tills in various different shops and you've got customers coming into those shops. If you had your customer information disparately placed around the business, you've got to work out which piece of customer information is the most up-to-date and trying to synchronize it all together overnight. It just becomes a real headache. If you have a hosted cloud solution, everything's being updated in real time on that cloud, which means that when the customer goes in and looks at that information, they see up-to-date information, but we also see the latest transactions. If we wanted to go and apply a discount or a promotion because we saw something, let's say a latest news release, we quite often in my business will have a big press release about, a few years ago, surprisingly, it was wild lettuce. There was a big trend for people going out and buying wild lettuce as an essential oil. So we actually sell wild lettuce essential oil, strangely, and we were able to react quite quickly to that news article by putting out promotions instantaneously on the cloud platform. Because all the tills are linked straight back to our cloud platform, all the shops got the promotion straight away, rather than having to wait overnight or being slow to react. We could also see immediately where all our stock was, because again, it's on the hosted solution. So, having things in the cloud, although you might think it's perhaps a little bit scary not having that control over it, there's so many more benefits for the customer.
Okay, and Paul, you've seen how the cloud can help with your customers who are now becoming obviously increasingly demanding. Can you tell us a little bit about the service you provide and how it's become enhanced by the use of cloud, say with things like click and collect, for example?
Absolutely. We've had a slightly different experience. I joined f.hinds 4 years ago, and we still had our legacy system in place at that point. I think without cloud, we wouldn't have been able to move to a real-time system, which we were not on before. We have a very, very small IT team, as many retailers have maybe only 1 or 2 people who are looking after their IT. And so being responsible in-house for running a real-time system is quite a scary prospect, whereas we partnered with Ian and his team. They're able to go and they can focus on providing that platform to us. They've got a large team, and so we share that cost of ownership with a number of other retailers, which the infrastructure of which we would never be able to afford on our own. And I can paint a little picture of where we were 3 or 4 years ago. Customer walked into a store, you're the shop assistant, they want to buy a diamond ring. Well, we've got the diamond ring, but it's in the wrong size. It's a Saturday, so we'll take the money off the customer and we'll say, well, in a week or 2, we'll have it for you. You've got to wait until Monday. You can then ring up the head office to find out if we've got any in stock in the right size. We don't, so they give you a list of 50 shops which have got it in stock because you can't access the stock information in store. So you set to phoning them up. You don't know which ones have got which size, so you're just going to have to ring them all. After about 30, you give up. You find the store that's got it in roughly the right size. You get them to send it special delivery out to our head office. Technician sits down, highly trained technician will then change the size of the ring for us. We'll then send it out special delivery again to the store who need it. So at that particular point, the customer who needed that ring urgently, and I think we all know that where people perhaps used to come in 3 weeks in advance of their wedding usually to try and get their wedding rings, now they come in 2 days beforehand. We got it to the customer, they're happy. One of our sales assistants spent 2 hours on the phone. One of our technicians spent half an hour preparing the ring, and we spent about 15 quid on postage. Now, the sales assistant goes to the till, all the figures are there, so they just say, oh, I want it in this size, please. It says, oh, right, well, actually, that's in our Woking store. I can tell you that'll be with us in 3 days' time. Hand the customer over the receipt, off you go. The Woking store will pick that request up. It just gets sent straight over. It gets actioned instantly, as it were. So we turned probably 3 hours of work across a number of our staff into about 30 seconds. And we've been able to make a promise to the customer that day about when it's going to get to the store. And that doesn't just apply in store. Things like reserve and collect. We've been able to do things where we can tell the customer if it's in store so that we can promise it'll be ready in 2 hours. If it's not in store, we can work out where we can get it from. We can look at our delivery schedule and say, well, actually, no, it's going to be 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, but we can actually tell the customer when it's going to be there for them to view. So having all that information to hand, which I really don't think we could run such a system without a platform to do it. I don't think we'd be able to do it ourselves. Has made a huge difference. I mean, we're doing about 4 times more reserve and collect than we were with our previous system, where in effect we'd promised that everything would be there after a week. So it's made an absolutely huge difference to us.
And I suppose I'll open it up to the panel about how the cloud helps with stock optimization.
Yes. So as Paul was mentioning, we have the same thing in our stores where we're able to turn click and reserve onto our website. So very simply, because all of the stock is held centrally on our hosted platform across all of our real estate, you know exactly what stock you've got in what store at that very second in time. You don't have to wait for the stock to be centralised all into one place and then uploaded to your website. It's not 24 hours behind, it's not 48 hours behind, it's seconds behind. So as soon as the stock changes in any of our stores, we actually take a scrape every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, our website updates its stock levels for every one of our shops based on the stock levels that is in our hosted EPOS system. And then when the customer comes on and says, have you got that item, you know that that item is in that store because you know it was last sold, or the last update you had was 15 minutes ago. So you can be really certain that you are selling a product that you've got in stock to the customer. You can make sure that you've got that customer promise, and that drives down, you know, we're all customers, we all want to have, we all go onto the website, you like to know exactly you're going to get it, is it in stock? You never want to be disappointed that you bought something and then be called up by the customer service team a few days ago, say, oh, I'm sorry, our website was out of sync with our stores. You know, we thought we had it in shop, we didn't have it in shop. We're not in that position anymore. And stock optimization is really very, very efficient then, because you can be certain that you've got all that product exactly where it is. So, you know, you can make sure you're selling things you've really got rather than not selling them at all.
We found that vital. As a jewellers, we tend to only have one of any particular line in stock. So there is a real risk if your stock control system isn't up to date that you end up trying to sell the same item twice. Someone will come in and buy it, and then all of a sudden someone on the website half an hour later will try and buy the thing you've just sold. Also, from our smaller stores to our larger stores, there's a very big difference in the number of items that they stock. Some of them will stock different brands. So the fact that now any store can sell any product and can sell the product out of another store means that we can do things such as have extended ranges in some stores, and the smaller stores can still tap into that. We can do things like, well, in effect, extended aisle, where we've got a very large range of products which we don't stock at all, but that can be raised very quickly and easily through the till, and then we can get that brought in from the manufacturer. And in effect, the member of store staff doesn't have to do anything differently, whether they're buying something out of a factory in Spain or whether they're getting it from a shop 5 miles down the road.
Yeah, we have the same. We have a lot of small stores in railway stations where you can't just offer the breadth of product because you just don't have the shelf space to display it. But customers can still come in and buy the item, and you can complete that transaction at one single point in time. So the customer pays once, which is what we all like. We only like to pay once. All the items can be put into that basket, whether they're physically in the shop or whether they're being delivered from another one of our shops or even from our head office. And the customer goes away happy and content that they got the products that they want. And we're not, more importantly, you're not missing out on sales. So having a centralised stock location that's hosted with your tills linked to that means that you don't miss out on those valuable sales, because you can sell any of your items from any of your stores through any of your stores, even if the product isn't in store at that point in time, and have it delivered directly to a customer if it's not there. So it almost brings the web shop experience into a physical shop. You can combine both of them together.
Don't know whether you want to add to anything there.
I think for me it's about creating trust. It's about creating trust with your consumer that those products are available when you say they're going to be. The other thing is about making sure that your pricing policy is correct across all stores, so your customer gets the same price whether they're in store or online. I tell a story about one of my colleagues who's I hope there's no Yorkshire people in the room. If there is, I'm probably about to offend you. He's a tight-fisted Yorkshireman, and he goes to a high street retailer that's looking to get a child seat for his new son. And he knows that the website has got a 25% discount on. So he goes into the store and says, I'd like this child seat. On your website, it's 25% cheaper. can I have it at that price? And the store says, we can't do it at that price. We cannot physically put it through at that price. So what he does, he goes outside with his company phone, goes to the website, orders a click and collect, and then stands around for 10 minutes while they actually get that product ready for him. And it's, for me, it's just about how you bring those two channels together. You make it seamless, so you've got the same transaction, you make it frictionless, whether it's on e-commerce or whether it's in store, whatever channel you trade on, whether it's eBay, whether it's Amazon, it's about making the price, the products, the customer, and you know who they are. And it's that central point that a cloud hub actually gives you.
Yeah. And Jason, we know the cloud is really important for you, obviously in the skincare and cosmetics world. Shelf life is massively important. Can you tell us a bit more about the organic beauty products that Neal's Yard's Remedies sell and how the virtual inventory works for you on kind of a base level?
Yes, so you're quite right, Laura. Unlike rings that can sit around in a display cabinet for quite a while, we've got organic health and beauty products that have a very short shelf life purely because of the pure natural ingredients that are in those products. So you can't have a huge inventory sitting at stores, you can't have a huge inventory sitting in our head office. It's a very fast turnover. It's not like a fruit or anything in a real fast FMCG, but you know, we're kind of along that pace. So having real-time stock information about exactly what we've got in which stores helps us to drive other areas of our business, helps us to make sure our supply chain management is very efficient, because we know exactly what stock we've got in those stores and where those sales are going to be happening. We can make sure that we've got the right stock, and we're going out there, and it comes right back to when we're actually getting all of our raw ingredients together and driving everything forward. So good stock, good forecasting, you know, single point where we've got all our sales history, then allows us to forecast our supply chain correctly and manufacture the goods that we need to manufacture on the right time and get them into the right areas of the business.
Brilliant. And I don't know whether, Paul, you can tell us a bit about your ring sizing developments that have been happening.
Yes, so I think there can be a bit of a misconception when you go with the cloud and with a platform that customising it can be hard work or possibly even not possible at all, and you just have to take what you're getting. We tend to only have, as I said, one of each item in a store, and in fact, when a ring comes in multiple different sizes, so you know, a standard ring might come in 12 sizes, we'll only stock one of them. It's just too expensive to hold each individual size in a shop. So we had to go and look at doing some bespoke work where your standard retail replenishment model, where you sell one, you get one back, doesn't really work for rings with us. What we need to do was, you sell one, you get any one of these particular products back, could be in any size, but we don't really mind which. We'll set some rules up though. And we were able to get that work done. In doing that, we were able to effectively go down the road of then being able to record individual sizes on our system, whereas perhaps before we'd just go, well, we don't know what size they are, we'll just put them all in a big pool, and that's how we'll deal with everyone just getting one of them rather than 12. In doing that, the time and money that we have saved in being able to get items to the customer faster, at the time we promised, has been immeasurable. And without that partnership, which I think is important, that we've been able to have with our cloud provider, it would not have been possible. But sorry, just to reiterate, it is definitely possible and very important to find a cloud provider that you can work with to get your particular issues sort of resolved, as it were.
Sorry, there's some advantages there of cloud, obviously, that you get the benefit of the consolidated requirements of all of these retailers. So, for instance, we're on the Demandware platform, and there's a lot of really huge retailers who use Demandware. We're a very small retailer, but they come along to Demandware and ask for some fantastic things that they want to have done with the platform that Neal's Yard could never afford to go off and develop themselves. But because these large vendors are going and asking this cloud-based solution to provide it for them, the next time that software is released onto the platform, we get all those features. Now, that's loads of features that we can never ever afford to develop ourselves. Some of the features may actually not be applicable to us, but a large percentage of those features are applicable to us. So by pooling all of this together into a cloud solution, you end up with the best of that consolidated view. So, for instance, you know, we don't actually sell rings in Neal's Yard Remedies, but there could be some of the ideas behind the technology that Hinds have developed with Cybertill that could be applicable to our business. And because we're on a hosted solution, the next time that software is released, we can take advantage of that. I was talking with the developer this morning and explaining to him a problem we have about creating and getting stock into the stores. He said, well, we've already solved that problem for the British Red Cross. I said, fantastic. He said, oh, yeah, we can turn that on for you tomorrow, and you can have this solution running in your business and test it next week. Now, those kind of developments, we'd never be able to afford Neal's Yard if we had our own development team. You know, as Paul said, we're both very, we're very light on IT. There's only me in the IT department in Neal's Yard, and I think Paul's very similar. We're quite light on IT, but we've almost outsourced the development as a commodity item now. You don't need to have a large IT team of people doing bespoke development anymore, because everybody's really solved all those problems already, and the cloud providers know this, and they're developing solutions that solve all of our problems. So rather than everybody going around and developing a solution to it individually, pull everything together and have it on a hosted solution, and we can all take advantage of everybody else's developments without, with a smaller amount of capital outlay.
I think the other thing is actually the speed of deployment. At retail store, we basically do a 3-week development cycle. So we start a development cycle today, we close that off in 3 weeks, it then goes into QA for 3 weeks, is then released on the platform. So the speed that we can get functionality into our customers is probably far significant than any legacy-based systems. The other thing is that we do a lot of robust testing before it goes live, so we've got a solid platform. The other thing about doing small iterative changes, there's no requirement to do a significant amount of training or no training at all. If you want a legacy system that's updated, you go from version 2 to version 3. It may be 18 months that it's been in development, and there could be significant changes to that software. Where you're doing small releases, it's actually very easy for the operators and the users just to pick up those small changes. If you take Walmart, I know Walmart release to their points of sale every 7 days, so they don't have to do training to their operators across their estates.
And we've seen substantial benefits as well to that approach. Because we're sharing features with other users, with other retailers. For example, we've just launched, or we're trialing gift cards in a few of our stores at the moment, so we're moving over from paper vouchers to gift cards. That piece of functionality has been tested by many other retailers who've done an awful lot of work to get it all smoothed out. And we're then very lucky. We can then just come in and go, okay, we'll take this battle-hardened piece of functionality and we can just deploy it if we want to, in a matter of days. It's just a question of us ringing up and say, can we switch it on, please? And off we go. And
then that in turn really does lower the total cost of ownership of these technologies, which on a cloud I like to say are quite cutting edge, but the total cost of ownership of running a cloud solution is far lower than having to run your own internal system or a system that's sitting on servers in your own server rooms. There's no way that we'd be able to afford to have such great hosted solutions with so uptime, all those redundancies, power, the level of redundancy in the hosted, I think Cybertill use Amazon Web Services. There's no way that Neal's Yard would be able to afford to have server rooms with so much redundancy as these big hosted solutions do. So that really lowers the total cost of ownership. And again, security, I think, is something we haven't touched on yet, but everybody's slightly worried that if my data isn't sitting here on my server in my room and I can go in and touch it, that it's not secure, or it's more secure there than it would be on a hosted solution. I'm coming to believe actually the contrary is true, that these large cloud providers, security is their #1 priority. They spend far in excess of any amount of money that I could possibly spend on making sure that their systems are as secure as they completely could be, because upon security, their reputation lies. If their system was to be hacked or security was breached, then their business is dead in the water. So, they really focus and spend a lot of money making sure that their business systems and their solutions are more secure than, again, anything that we could afford to have ourselves. So, security was another key reasons why I think moving to the cloud, it sounds as if it should be less secure, but actually, I think it probably is more secure.
I think Jason's done a better job there selling that than I could have done. So it's actually It's brand damaging, it's brand reputation at the end of the day. You know, we have a data asset in Cybertill that we have to look after. You know, we have circa 700 customers. We have, you know, about 1.2 billion in, you know, pounds worth going through the platform. We have millions and millions of customer records, and we've got to make sure they are secure. So we are passionate about security. We have the latest tools, we have the greatest tools. You know, we run tools to protect and monitor and look after our platform that most retailers couldn't do, because we're aggregating all our retailers together and providing those tools to protect all of them, which as individuals, they just couldn't afford those tools. So.
When you come down to, you know, the ever exacting standards that PCI are putting upon retailers, the new data protection laws that are coming out next year, you know, to be able to understand all of those things and to be able to implement technologies to make sure you're up to date is really time consuming and onerous for retailers. So why not, you know, pass off that responsibility to a third party whose meat and drink it is to make sure their systems are fully PCI compliant, are fully up to spec with all the latest data protection rules, and then you can just take advantage of that technology and you know, keep your cost of running these solutions as low as you possibly can.
So we've talked about keeping costs down, but in terms of profitability, how have you felt that the cloud has helped you with profitability and increasing that profitability?
Well, you know, as we mentioned, happier customers, you know, more customers being able to come onto your channels in and shop and buy whatever they want and get the products that they want at the point that they come and buy them. You know, either directly off the web or in store, or an amalgamation of both, click and reserve, click and collect. You know, all those things have definitely helped there.
Absolutely. I think it's almost not a question of almost a profitability, but almost a sink or swim with what the consumer increasingly expects nowadays. If you're, it's not today, perhaps, if you don't provide that beautifully well knitted together service between all of your channels, but there will come a time, and it's probably not all that far away, where if you're not providing that service to your customers, they will look elsewhere, and I would not want to find my business in that position.
Yeah, and I suppose it's about that intelligent core data, isn't it? And it's really about that intelligence. I mean, Ian, I don't know whether you want to touch on that a little bit about kind of how that'll help, you know, customers, businesses.
I actually do that towards the end, so yeah. I've got a whole piece on the end about information. So.
Sorry, what were you? I think I was going to go back and say that having a good integration of data. So there's large vendors out there like Sainsbury's and people like this. They've got the ability to generate these large systems that provide great omni-channel experience. But if you're a smaller or a mid-sized retailer where, you know, profitability and the amount of money that you've got to invest in your systems is comparatively quite small, then outsourcing your development and your solutions can be a really good solution, can be a really good way for you to be able to get those kind of top level solutions and systems into your business at quite a low cost, because you'd never be able to develop all of these solutions on your own. So go out there and take part in this cloud. And if you're not doing it now, then your profitability may not suffer, but you can be sure that your competitors are thinking about how they can better serve their customers through multi-channel. So if you're not moving into multi-channel, into a cloud solution and using these technologies, then your competitors will, and your customers are just going to go and buy from them. Because at the end of the day, we're all customers. We all want to go onto the web and buy something right now and then. As Ian was saying, Paul was saying, you leave it till the last minute to go off and buy things these days because you know you can. You know you can get delivery next day, delivery in 3 days' time. So you always leave everything until the last minute. So not having a solution where people go and buy from whatever channel you've got it in stock will ultimately be your downfall if you're not moving that way now.
I think I might buy my wedding ring quicker than 3 days before my marriage. That's bad planning.
Birthday presents, though.
Birthday presents, yeah.
And Jason, just touching on that intelligent kind of core data, I mean, how has cloud technology helped you in terms of franchising and concession selling? Because that's obviously a main part of your business. Yeah,
so we have a blend of stores. We've got probably 4/5 of our stores are owned by Neal's Yard, and then we've got about 20 of our stores are franchisees. So in the last 12 months, we've been migrating those franchisees onto this single platform as well, because before they had their own small individual systems in each of their shops. So from a business, it's helped us because we've been able to see what those franchisees are doing from a sales perspective. We've been able to support them better. They've also been able to take part in some of the larger systems and solutions that we've been doing as a company. So unified gift card solutions, so now we have electronic gift card solution that customers can go into any store and get gift cards, redemptions, buy gift cards across all of our stores, own stores or franchisees. That wasn't the case until we brought them onto the cloud solution. And likewise, loyalty cards now run across all of our stores, whereas 12 months ago, stores would have an individual loyalty card on a sort of like a stamp basis. So that doesn't provide for it provides loyalty for the customers, but it's not a great experience. So we've been able to roll out a unified loyalty system across our web, our own stores and our franchise stores. So our franchise stores, again, they've been able to get themselves into a till solution, into an EPOS solution that is better than they were using before, but also now they're onto the hosted solution, their stock is coming into our web platform, so customers are also doing click and reserve with those franchisees now, which again they weren't able to do when the franchisees were running their own little bespoke EPOS solutions.
I think the other thing is about taking that platform, and what these guys have been saying about they share that development with all the other retailers. We've been able to take that franchise solution to some of our entrepreneurial and fast-growing retailers and say, look, if you want to grow your brand, your chain, have you considered franchising as an option? If we've got a tool already within your product to do that, along with concession management as well. So, you know, we look into most of the major department stores for e-commerce and mail order, so e-commerce, mail order and in-store, and it's extending that channel because retailers ultimately, all you want to do is sell product. You know, I think retailing is quite simple. You buy products at the right price and you make sure it's in the best place to sell at the optimum price, and that is in essence retailing. And you know what you want to do is have as many channels as possible to actually do that, and that's what a cloud platform will do. It opens up your channels, whether it's concessions, whether it's eBay, whether it's Amazon Marketplace, whether it's franchising, to actually get the best possible return for your money and your investments that you make.
Just another thing I'll just mention is that we also find that using a cloud solution, although we have to pay for these developments that we're doing with that cloud provider, usually the cost of that development is smaller than the cost would have been if we developed it ourselves. And that's because the cloud provider knows that they can resell this solution many times to their other customers. So that's factored into account of when they actually sell it to us. They come along and say, well, yes, we know you like to do this development, but actually we'll make the price slightly cheaper for you to do it because it enhances their platform, it enhances the solution that they can provide to their customers. So we get the development slightly cheaper because long term, the hosting company or the cloud company know that they can resell this many times, and that's obviously where they're making their money because they're just taking the same old stuff and selling it lots of times to everybody.
It's slightly more complicated.
Yeah.
It's more challenging.
Yeah, that's the basis of their sales model.
That certainly would have been our experience as well, and I think the other big point about that is that if I write the code, I'm on the hook to maintain that code for as long as it's in use. If they write the code, then they're on the hook for it, as it were. So not only am I not paying today for me to have to develop it myself, which I think would be more expensive, as Jason says, but I don't have to make sure that I'm paying someone to maintain it on an ongoing basis. It's all rolled into the contract that we have in any case.
Yeah, and if you look at, come into your back office, you've got all these systems out there. What's the cost of running a help desk, all the time your retail offices are open, your retail stores are open? You've got 24/7 e-commerce platform. Have you got support people who are looking after that platform for you all the time? Have you got a help desk that's skilled up, servers that are running all the server farm, all those sorts of things? So when you add up all those extra bits, by going to a cloud provider, they've got a help desk that's sitting there all the time the shops are open, so you don't have to worry about having people there to support it should it go wrong. It's their lifeblood, so they're going to keep that solution up and running for you, otherwise you're not going to pay them money. So again, it's economies of scale allow you to reduce the total cost of ownership of these solutions because you're pooling all these things together. Me and Paul, if we didn't have a cloud-based solution, we both have to have support teams that are sitting in our offices 7 days a week supporting our retail system. That's an expense that we both have to share.
Yeah.
Now we're sharing because we're on a hosted platform. We don't have any of those costs anymore.
Brilliant.
Yes, no support calls when you're halfway up a mountain. It's quite good.
So Ian, after 15 years in the cloud solutions business, where do you see the challenges for retail now, and where do you see them in the future?
I think let's face it, guys, it's, cloud's exciting, it's exciting technology, we've got an exciting future ahead of us, but it's in the background of uncertainty and volatility in the market. We don't know what's going to happen with Brexit. The supply chain is, you're going to have impacts in terms of buying prices, when the dollar exchange rate stabilises. So it's going to be a very, very exciting and volatile time. I think the 4 areas that, retailers need to focus on, we've talked about most of them here anyway. So if I just summarise, it's security. Security, let's face it, there's a lot of bad people out there who are trying to get credit card data, trying to get information from you. On a cloud platform, that's protected more than it would be if it was in your own systems. I think in the future, I think, is the PIN dying? I think PIN probably should die. There needs to be better ways that, retailers could reduce the friction point of sale. There's better ways, whether it's iris scanning, fingerprint recognition, the use of iPhone technology to actually do transactions to make it seamless. The guys already have talked about, convergence and convenience. It's having the same solutions available the same way they actually work. Your website works the same as your in-store. You could almost take the view where actually if you've got a store that's exciting like these guys, make the front of your store like your homepage. So your homepage is for all your new products, your exciting stuff, your promotion stuff, and then the back of the store is almost set up like the departments actually with your website to move through that way. And for me, it's, they've talked about information. For me, the most important thing about any cloud or any retail is that information, and it works 2 ways. The information, one, that you can collect about the retail, about the consumer, and about how you can use that information to market, to sell, to know about them, so you can have personal dialogue with them, that you understand who they are, what they do. So, the guys with their loyalty systems are starting to collect that information now, so they know who their top customers are. When we were talking in Speakers Lounge before, Jason came up with an idea, really, we should have the top 10 customer mugshots in the staff common room of the store, so they can actually see who they are when they come in, so you can recognise and go, "Hi Paul, good to see you again," so you know who they are. Information as well is actually, as well as collecting information, it's giving information out, whether that's on apps, whether that's on the website, whether that's assisted selling to actually help the retail, to actually help the consumers make the buying decisions. Because ultimately what you want to do is win the hearts and minds. So you get those first 3 things right, you can then start winning the hearts and minds. And I think retailing in the future is going to have to be about fun. It's going to have to be about how you engage with the consumer to make it more interesting for them to come to store. Because at the end of the day, it's all about convenience. They will pay more if they can get the products there and then. So, some of the challenges ahead, volatile times, going to be interesting times, but at the end of the day, that cloud hub gives you the tools and the information to pass information to your consumers and to collect information from them.
Brilliant. So there's been lots of interesting opinion and discussion from our panel. I just wanted to open it out for any questions from our audience. Anyone's got any questions? Yeah, gentleman at the back.
Thank you. Hi, you talked about the benefits of cloud, and I think we all sort of get that. Would you agree that you need to keep a balance between on-premise compute and cloud to put the right applications and workload in the right place, or are you advocating putting everything into the cloud?
I think there is a balance. We do some things personally in-house, so we do reporting. We bring all this data from the cloud and store it locally on our servers for reporting, because we just don't feel at the moment that there's a really good consolidated way of bringing together our disparate channels and reporting on them. Finance and all those traditional things, they're still done in the cloud, but we're also thinking about, in the next 12 months moving on to Office 365, and then maybe looking in the future to take other things off-premise as well, so hosted Exchange, hosted ERP. I think that with now the cloud has become a lot maturer than it was. Every time you look to review one of your systems, you've really got to sit there and say, does it make any sense for me to run this locally in my server anymore? Where's the benefit of doing that compared to the benefit of running it on somebody else's servers? Because the functionality is definitely as good on those hosted servers as it is internally now. So, I look at each one and just make a decision about, do we really need to still run this internally? What's the benefit? And if not, if we can run it on a cloud basis, then why not? You can move your cost from a capex into an operating cost then, and finance people seem to enjoy having an operating costs rather than capital costs for quite a lot of these things. So, yeah.
But as retailers deploy more real-time analytics, would you not agree that that analytical platform should be on-premise to give a real-time response rather than back in the cloud?
Well, if you're looking for real-time and you've got all of your systems hosted in the cloud, then you're going to need to get that data from the cloud onto your local system somehow, or have your local system looking remotely at that data. So at some point, if you don't have everything cloud-based, you're going to have to move data around. So for us, we look at real-time through each of the various different systems to see what's happening at that point in time. So our stores will look at our cloud EPOS system to see what's happening during the day, but then they rely on the overnight. We'll take the data out of that and put it into our reporting system, and then provide them with consolidated reports on a daily basis. Still at the moment through email, but I'd rather like to have that delivered to them through a portal rather than emailed reports. I think that's just a progressive thing to develop.
I think if I'm providing a service, say on a small VMware cluster at my head office, or if it's being provided off Amazon Web Services, for my shops, is there an awful lot of difference between the two? They're both pulling the data over our network, or basically by broadband. So whether they get
the network goes down.
Yes.
And of course, that is the challenge with all of these, and having a robust backup systems is important. But if you've got good providers to work with, ultimately you have to balance that downtime versus the extra sales that you make as a result of having access to that information better than, I'd say, 99.5% of the time.
I think cloud platforms now, we're 99 plus 4 nines minimum SLA, and the other thing at point of sale, we also have an offline capability that if the platform does fail, for someone's dug up the ADSL line, then we actually fall over to a offline system that runs locally within the point of sale device.
But you're right though, there is a concern. 5-10 years ago, who'd want to go and host something over the BT broadband service, over ISDN lines? You couldn't do it. But today, the speed of internet connection and the reliability has improved dramatically. So it means that cloud is more of a reality now because you've got a surety of those communication lines, and you can have multiple different links into these systems. In some of our stores, or more important stores, we have a broadband connection with a 3G backup, just in case you need to do that. And the amount of data you're passing across these transactions, they're very small packets of information, because you're really just a web browser to a hosted solution. So you don't need to have a huge amount of bandwidth. You can run 4 tills quite happily over a 4, 5, 6 meg internet connection without having too many difficulties. Whereas if you're looking to do some other solution where you're downloading lots and lots of data, comparatively you need to have a bigger connection. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Question for Jason.
One more question.
What capability would you like to see come into cloud capability next to help you through?
Good question. What's next? It's, one thing that's come along through cloud for us in the last 12 months, completely without us having to do anything, is contactless payments. All of a sudden, I walked into my shop and I could pay by Apple Pay. I did nothing to enable Apple Pay on any of my devices. It just was working. One day it was working, and my owner came along and said, "I pay by Apple Pay. It's fantastic, Jason. Well done." I kind of went, "Yeah, thanks." And I knew I'd done nothing at all. But you've got to say thank you, haven't you?
You've got to take the floor.
You've got to take the floor.
When
you got it, yeah. So it's those things that are great when they happen just like that without you having to do anything. I think it's difficult to try and predict where the customer's going to go. I think customers are always going to want things faster, quicker, cheaper. So, you know, more homogenisation between the shops and online is going to happen, and your other sort of selling channels.
I wonder where things like, say, if this then that are going to take us in terms of trying to provide the glue between systems. At the moment, I as a retailer still feel that I am responsible for gluing my various best of breed systems together, and I wonder if we might see over the next 5 years or so some new companies, or alternatively that particular company, stepping up to the mark in terms of helping plugging these various systems together and making that life easier.
Yeah, you already see, you know, like Demandware bought Salesforce. So Demandware, you know, they've already decided that e-commerce and CRM have got to come together. So they've, you know, well, actually I think Salesforce bought Demandware. But you know, you can see these big organisations bringing together their systems. So that's naturally going to happen. I think we'll see the death of the loyalty card. I think everybody will definitely go to a mobile loyalty. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have mobile loyalty now rather than a physical loyalty card. That will definitely come along, and more the mobilisation, because people want to be able to buy things out of their pocket rather than using, you know, going home and purchasing it. So definitely easier ways of getting your data onto people's smartphones. You know, people have said a lot about beaconing technology and knowing where people are, and you know, I think there's a blend between that technology and Big Brother. You know, how do people feel if you walk into a shop and, you know, a shop assistant walks up and says, "Hello, Jason," and you know, you don't know them from Adam. You know, I don't know how I feel about that. Some people, you know, retailers, big retailers, going, "Yeah, this is the future." I'm thinking, well, maybe it is, maybe not. I don't know. Privacy.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jason, Paul, and Ian. But I know Ian just wants to say this is something.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot here about, you know, brand advocates and, you know, about getting good brand advocates for your retail store. I think for me, these guys giving up their time as our customers to come here and talk to you about it, really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing it, and you know, the envelopes will be very happy.
And thank you to our panel. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.